working. Today's video is called My Truth About Honesty. So what I mean by that is just my view on how people should give honesty, or because some people say there's a right and a wrong way of being honest, and honestly I believe however you feel you like to express your honesty or like give your honesty is how you want to do it. But in the same token, sometimes you just gotta be mindful of, because people have different personalities, people have different trigger points, and you can't just like blur out anything you want at any given moment and then expect people to be okay with it, or expect people to react in a way that they're just supposed to take it in and be like, oh, okay, thanks, because that's not always gonna happen. So for me, for example, I respect honesty and straightforward people to the utmost degree, but I also respect the fact that it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So for example, like this is just an example. So, when you, let's say if you're wearing something, if I came out my room right now and I asked my friend slash roommate, like, hey, like, do you like what I'm wearing? Like, does it look right? Like, and she said, ew, no, like, I'm sorry, I don't. Maybe you should try this one, X, Y, and Z. I'll be like, okay, cool. But if I just came out my room to go get a drink of water or to make me something to eat really quick, and she looked at me up and down and she said, like, what the F are you wearing? Then heck yeah, I'm gonna get offended and I'm gonna be pissed, and then I'm gonna give her a piece of my mind. And then that's gonna be that. But it's just like when you do that to people and then they expect you to be like, oh, well, I was just trying to help you out. I was just trying to help you out. I was trying to give you my opinion. It's like, I didn't ask for your opinion. And that's what people need to respect. Respect. People need to have boundaries. It's like, you can't just say what you want off the handle. And like I said, it's not what you wear. It's not, yeah, it's definitely not what you wear, but it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's like, you can't just like be rude all the time and think that you're being a good friend or think that you're being a good spouse just because you're being honest. But it's like you're being rude and you're being honest, and sometimes people don't want your honesty. Sometimes people don't want your opinion, and that's fine. I just cannot stand when people always feel the need to always have something to say about everything. It's like, you are not a judge, you are not getting paid for this, and I didn't ask. Like I keep saying, it's like, it just gets on my nerves so bad. So yeah, people just need to find the right time and learn how to say different things. It's like almost a contradiction too, I say, because it's like, okay, like that's their personality, that's how they speak, it just comes out. But it's like, at the same time, like, you gotta be conscious, like you gotta be self-aware. Like, I don't know, it's just, I guess it's just kind of like a murky, not murky, but it's just kind of like I don't know how to explain it. It's like one of those situations that is just kind of like, okay, well, that person is being themselves too, and this is how they communicate. It's just like, well, I don't really care for those styles of communications when people just feel the need to be rude and blur out and always have something to say. I don't really care for that. So that's why I titled this video My Truth About Honesty, because that's how I feel and think that people should deliver and be considerate about when it comes to their honesty. So whatever. I just feel like a lot of people nowadays, they just blur out whatever they want to say, and they feel like just because you guys are friends, or the amount of time that you guys have been friends, it's just kind of like gives them like the green light to just like go off the handle and say whatever it is that they want to say. And it's just kind of like, no, like, especially if the opinion wasn't asked for. Like, sometimes opinions are not needed or asked for, and that's what a lot of people need to understand. Like, there's nothing wrong with being honest, but I definitely do feel like there should be a time and place for that, because at the end of the day, like, you're not a judge and you're not getting paid to give your opinion, and like I keep reiterating, it wasn't asked for. So I just feel like people just need to be mindful when it comes to that type of thing, like those type of things. And also right along with that, let people be themselves. Just because, like, for example, like, you have your friends, once again, with the styling, like, your style, I feel like you should just let your friends be or dress or act however they want to act, as long as it's not like hurting you or it's not hurting themselves. Like, I just don't like when people are like in these quote unquote friendships or relationships, and like the other person always feels the need to say something negative or feels the need to like try to monitor or control their friend or their spouse. It's just kind of like, no, like let that person be themselves. And it's like people always want to say, oh, be yourself, be yourself. You know, why do you act like this around certain people and why do you act like that around other people? Because have you ever thought that maybe that person is more comfortable around somebody else because you make them uncomfortable because you're always trying to control them, or you always have something negative to say about the way they look or the way that they act? Like, have you guys thought about that? Because a lot of people want to get mad and be like, oh, well, you don't act like that around me. It's like, well, you don't let them act like that around you because you always have something negative to say. It's like, come on, like, you know, it's like, how do you expect somebody to act? And I feel like that's happened. I know that that has happened to me. It's like, you know, growing up, like I did have certain friends that I was more myself around than others because I just felt like I was always scrutinized and I was always looked at like my fucking hat keeps, excuse me, my hat keeps tilting. I was always scrutinized and I was always like looked at like, oh, okay, like what are you wearing or why are you acting like that or this, like it's always something to say. And it's just like that would make me subdue my personality, that would make me subdue my style. And you know, slowly but surely I started getting out of that and I started not giving a flying F about what people thought about me or what I dress or how I, you know, looked, because it's just kind of like at the end of the day, like I'm not doing this for you and this is how I feel comfortable. This is my authentic self. This is how I like to express myself. And just because you don't like it doesn't mean that you have to throw it in my face every single given moment. Like what I don't like in like these like relationships, like I said, friendships or just like regular relationships, like romantic relationships, when it's like, you know, it's okay not to like, you know, what your spouse or your friend is wearing or how they act or whatever the case may be. And you could express that, like I stated before, but it's just like when it starts getting to the point that it's just kind of like you want to make fun of them all the time and you want to kind of like diminish their light and make them feel like, you know, like how they dress or how they act is like weird or crazy. It's just like, I feel like when people do that, it's like they're not comfortable within themselves to be who they are and dress how they want to dress, and that they're too busy focusing and projecting on other people. It's like, why does the way that somebody dress or act bother you that much to the point that you always feel the need to say something? And like I said, don't get me wrong, obviously if like, okay, if I'm being rude to you or I'm wearing something like, okay, for instance, like if I'm going to like, if we're going to a party and it's supposed to be casual or formal and I'm in there wearing streetwear, then yeah, of course, if you're my friend or you're my spouse, you'd be like, hey babe, or hey, like Louise, why are you wearing that? Like it's supposed to be casual or formal or whatever. But it's just like, if you're just saying that because you're just going wherever and then they want to wear whatever they want, and then you're just kind of like, oh, what? Like, it's just like, I just don't get it. I just don't like that, because like I said, I myself personally have worked so hard to be comfortable in my skin and be where I'm at today. And it's like when I see these things happen in other relationships and people allowing it, it just really grinds my gears, because I'm just kind of like, let them be themselves. And I also sometimes beat myself up over this, because I used to be like that with my mom. Like my mom would always want to wear like a whole bunch of jewelry and like, you know, wear this and that. And I used to be like, Mom, no, like you're doing too much, well, whatever. And I regret it to this day, because I'm just like, wow, like my mom is really that girl. Like she really used to look good. And like a lot of people are doing that now, like wearing a whole bunch of jewelry and decked out and being cute. And my mom was doing that. Like she's always been ahead of her time when it comes to her style. And I'm like, I've always, like in the beginning when I was younger, I would always try to tell her to tone it down. But then as I got older, I would defend her, because her family used to do that to her as well. And when I noticed it, I'm like, damn, like this is how I'm acting. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna let my mom be herself. So that when my family would try to come for her, I'd be like, my mom could wear her scarves, because like usually, and like my mom is Dominican and so is my dad. So like they don't, like Dominican women don't really wear scarves and like stuff like that. Like they always have their hair done, but whatever. And my mom is not like that. Like she likes to wear scarves. She likes to have braids in her. She likes to have like ponytail pieces. And growing up with her family, like none of them were like that. They all had long hair, always had their hair pressed. And you know, always had makeup on, like whatever. And my mom had makeup on and nails done too, but it's just like, I guess it would just mostly be like her style. Like her style is very like bohemian, Afrocentric, and like her family style is just like, I don't even know what to describe it, because to be honest, it's not really that great. And yes, that was shade. So yeah, so it's just like they would always come for her. And then as I was getting older and I was starting to realize like, okay, like I'm trying to be like that. I'm trying to be myself and I'm trying to dress however I want to dress and not do it for anybody else. It's like, I need to allow my mom, or not allow, because she's going to do it. She did it regardless. But like, I need to encourage and not criticize my mom for what she wears and how she chooses to express herself, because she's already been going through that with her family and with her mom. You used to do that all the time, you know. So yeah, so I don't like that. And what I also don't like is when people, like, when you do tell somebody that, you know, like when you do try to express yourself and be like, hey, like, you know, you hurt my feelings, you kind of took it too far with your joke about how I look or how I dress or how I act, and then the other person wants to shut you down and be like, oh, you're sensitive, or they don't want to talk about it at all. It's like, how dare you? Like, now that you said what you had to say, it's like, now that somebody is confronting you about it, you can't take the heat. Now you want to run away and not say anything, or now you want to like try to like play it down. It's like, no, you know, you meant what you said, especially if you say it more than once. Like, I can't stand those people that try to make jokes and then they keep making the same joke over and over and over, and then they be like, oh, I was just joking. No, like, a joke when it's said more than once or twice is not no longer a joke. Like, it's serious. It's either serious or it's not funny anymore. Either or, stop. You know what I mean? So it's just like, now that you're being confronted about it, it's a problem. Like, no. So I don't like that either. I don't like when people try to like downplay people's sensitivity. Like, don't. Like, other people have different levels of sensitivity, and if you can't handle their type of sensitivity, then maybe you guys just need to, you need to work on yourself, or you just don't need to be friends with this person or need to be in a relationship with them, because clearly you don't have what it takes to cater to this person, and that's completely okay. But at the same time, don't keep diminishing them and trying to make them feel like they're crazy just because they have different type of level sensitivities that you don't have. So it just baffles me. But yeah, I just think that people just need to work on, and this myself too, because sometimes I have these issues, people just need to work on their honesty. Like, it's completely fine to be honest, but there's always a time and place, and opinions are not always facts. I always say this: just because you have an opinion on something or somebody, or you have an idea about somebody, doesn't mean that it's factual. So people need to get that out their heads as well. And yeah, like, if your opinion wasn't asked, then keep it to yourself. Yeah, I had to take my hat off because it was kind of making me hot. But yeah, so just be mindful of your relationships, and you don't want to mess up a good friendship or relationship just because you always feel the need to always have something to say, or always have something negative to say, or to try to like control your spouse or your friend. You know, it's not worth it. It's like, try to work with your relationships, you know what I mean? Like, yes, it's good to be yourself, but at the same time, only because you're being yourself doesn't mean that it's appropriate at all times. It doesn't always mean that the other person is just gonna accept you in open arms. Like, people are gonna clash and people are gonna have differences, and obviously you should work on those differences if the relationship means something to you and if it's worth, you know, working on. But like I said, it's just like, to me, it's just like not cool when people are just always like on somebody, like constantly like, don't do this, don't do that, don't wear this, don't wear that, don't act like this, don't act like that. It's just like, no, like, you're not my parent. And even if you were, like, listen, growing up, me and my mom would get into it all the time because she was very controlling, and, you know, in her own ways, not with everything, but in certain things. Like, she let me do whatever I wanted, like go outside and hang out with my friends and stuff like that. But just like when it came to other stuff, and I would always be like, girl, no. So yeah, we all, like, I'm controlling with when it comes to certain things too. So don't get me wrong, like, we all have, like, you know, different type of control issues when it comes to different things. I've learned my lesson with my mom. Like, do you, everybody do you, whatever your heart desires, do, as long as you're not hurting anybody or hurting me in the process or hurting yourself, then we're good. So yeah, thank you guys for watching my video. I hope you guys liked it. Please subscribe, share, and yeah, see you guys next time.